Great. First of all, Coach Figla, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is quite an achievement.
Yes, it is.
So 20 years, you've brought teams to the world's final of the International Competitive Programming Contest.
Yes, actually, it 25 years in ICPC, but only 20 of them I reached World Finals. The first time I showed up in ICPC in Honolulu 2002, I was a contestant.
Wow. So 2002, unbelievable. I was born in 1982. I was 20 the first time you showed up. I'm Danny Castonguay. I'm the CEO of bld.ai. Over the years, I've been incredibly fortunate to work with competitive programming coaches who oftentimes are university professors, like Coach Figla in Egypt, and with people in the Philippines and Colombia and Pakistan and all over the world. And for me, from a business standpoint, it's always the absolute cream of the crop are people who are taught to become competitive programmers. It doesn't mean that they'll be the best programmers, the best data scientists, etc., but they have a long way down the road to become one because it takes so many years to get this. And this would not be possible without the incredible work of people like Coach Figla.
Thank you.
I would love to hear about you, about your story, where you started, what got you into competitive programming, etc. I would also love to hear more about some of your students, what they've achieved, the impact that you've had in their lives. And then I'd love to hear your perspective on the future. What does it mean for a 10-year-old today? What does it mean for a parent? What does it mean for a business executive in terms of the impact of artificial intelligence, general AI, etc.?
My story started when I was 8 to 9 years when I started learning programming, and it was fortunate for me to start at this age in Egypt because in the 80s, having a computer at home that have compilers and interpreters inside it that I can learn programming on was not something common between people.
Right, in the 1980s, there were probably not that many personal computers in Cairo.
Yes. So I started maybe, I think, 88 or 87. I was 9 years at that time. And I started learning programming for fun, just for fun. Nothing other than just writing simple programs at home. Maybe something to calculate my assignment, something to help me find, for example, instead of solving mathematics problem by hand, I wrote a program to solve it for me. Something like that, just for fun, until I decided to enter computer science university in Cairo. And also, this was not common because Faculty of Computers and Information, Cairo University at that time didn't have any graduates. I am the second group of people to enter the university because there was people in the first year, people in the second year, and third and fourth year was empty. There is still no graduates from the university at that time. So I graduated from Faculty of Computers and Information, Cairo University, I think 2001. But before that, with 1 year, I started my journey in competitive learning. But I was staying in a class in my university. It was, I think, a software engineering class. And one of the professors in our faculty entered the class and told me, please come and visit me on my office after the lecture. I went to her. She told me that there is a competition. And at that time, it was sponsored by ACM.
ACM, right?
Yes, at that time, the ACM was the main sponsor of ICPC.
It used to be called ACM ICPC.
Yes.
Right?
So she told me that there's a competition that is going to be held for all teams from Egypt. After 1 month, please be prepared. I am going to select some students from the universities to represent Faculty of Computers and Information, Cairo University. And I entered competition that has about 20 thumbs, I think, at that time. And I got the third place on Egypt. And I qualified to the regional competition that had teams from North Africa and Arab region. I think also it was 30-something team at that time at year 2000. I got fourth. The next year, I competed again with my team and I got the first place on the North African Arab. And it was not common that a university that just had graduates this year for the first time to win the regional competition. It was very challenging just to be on the ICPC because from Egypt to Honolulu, it is a very long trip and it was not common to find sponsors to pay for the tickets. It was not common for us to know how we can get the permissions to travel because all of the team members in the age of military service in Egypt, it is not easy to travel if you are that age. So we had faced a lot of challenges to be able to reach Honolulu.
You mentioned that when you started programming at 8 or 9 years old, it was about fun.
Yes.
And it was also a little bit of laziness. You didn't want to do the math
Yes.
ahead.
Yes,
You
yes.
wanted the computer to do it for you. At this point, you're in your early 20s.
Yeah.
You had the world's final of ICPC. That's quite a feat. What carried you all the way there? What was the motivation or the drive? Was it fun all the way? Was it laziness all the way?
No.
You don't get to greatness
No.
without putting a lot of effort.
Actually, it was not that laziness, but actually all my relatives that are older than me, if they need anything that helps them in computer, they come to me. From technical support to programming to teaching, anything related to computers or mathematics, everyone knows in my family that I am going to the coach to ask.
So it's wanting to help others
yes.
that made you become a master.
Even my brother or my cousin are older than me. I used to help them in their homework. I used to study subjects that I didn't take yet just to help them or giving them some instructions on to do. For example, I learned Fortran to teach my brother. I learned Java to teach my cousin. First time I wrote Fortran or Java was just to help my brother and my cousin. And after I entered the university, actually, I decided to learn computer science and computer engineering just to avoid taking subjects that are general, not related to computer science. In the high school, I selected to go to a British school. So I had my high school degree from Cambridge. It's IGCSE. I decided to take it because I want to select what I should learn. I don't want to take biology. I don't want to take history. I don't want to take geography. I want to learn just mathematics and computer science. I don't want to waste my mind resources in any other subject. This was my vision at that time. I got good grades in all of them. Actually, in the IGCSE, I get about 7 A's and 1 B. And this B was in English as a second language.
I didn't study too hard for that one.
Yes. So I decided to enter computer science, not engineering, just to avoid learning non-core subjects. I want to concentrate on the subjects that are related to my degree. This was my vision at that time. After that, I entered university. I already know a lot of programming, I know a lot of circuits, a lot of logic design. My dad was electric and communication engineer, so he used to tell me some things about circuits, current, communication, and he took his degree in the analog era, not the digital. So I already knew a lot of electronics, a lot of logic design, a lot of programming before entering university, and this helped me during my degree to get good grades without a lot of effort because I already got practice in all this. I got the third place on my university without a lot of effort, and I used to play, hang out with my friends, go to the cinema. I was not a geek.
You had a good life.
Yes.
Yeah. Going back, I know your father was not the only person teaching you, but if we can just focus on that for a second, how was his teaching perhaps different than maybe a regular school curriculum? Can you comment maybe on the pace you were learning with somebody who studies for the test, for example?
I was fortunate that I entered the school. I was the first student to enter. The school did not have any students before me also. The school was new and it started to get students at the first year when I was really young, I think, in 1984. Inside school, I had a different way of treatment because the first student that is going to graduate from this school, they gave us all the resources that we need, all the computer labs that we can access anytime. I used to use Macintosh in the 80s. Before Mac was based on Linux. It was based on Motorola processors, not in at that time. Having access to this kind of devices in school in the 80s was not common at all, especially in a developing country like Egypt. I had I can't find a way to describe, but let me say a lucky child life. So during school, I had a lot of special teachers, president of the school, or that used to give us all the resources that we need. Even when I entered university, the same thing happened. I had the best doctors, I think, ever in Egypt in that period of time. So I think all the environment was giving me a lot, and my ability to reach ICPC when I was young. My knowledge was not that great like now, but it was the best within our region. It was not that good. Actually, I went to the World Finals and I solved only 2 problems at that time. It was not a good ranking at all, but all the teams from our region used to solve 0 or 1. So solving 2 good problems at that time was a great achievement.
100% improvement.
It was a great achievement. After I returned from ICPC, solving only 2 problems, I decided I must not stop at this level and I must do something.
Correct.
So I start to learn what is missing. I want to know what are the algorithms, what are its data structures, why our students does not know these topics, they don't train on. There was no resources available. In 2002, there was no top coders, there was no code forces. We have only 2 websites at the time that we know. And they have problems with tutorials. You will read the problem, either you will solve it or you will not solve it.
That's right.
If the problem is unsolved, you will keep trying with it. I used to stay trying for 4 or 5 years to get a problem accepted. And it turns out finally to be a brute force problem. You need to have an intelligent data structure to do it or something like that. But I didn't stop until I get it accepted.
That's pretty remarkable. So you realized the size of the gap early on in your career.
Yes.
And that sort of foreshadowed a little bit the rest of the next 20 years
Yes.
or 25 years, where you've been working at filling that gap
Yes.
for tens of thousands of Egyptians and youngsters in the Arab world, but also abroad as well. Right?
Yes.
Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about that journey, how it started, the number of peoples you've taught over the years.
We went to Honolulu in 2002. And my first time as a coach was in Prague 2004. One of the 3 members which qualified to Prague World Finals was my colleague in 2002. So I started to be their coach after graduation, and I enjoyed being a coach at that time. So I started by just helping my team for a few months before the competition. In 2000, and I reached San Antonio in Texas, and in 2008, I got to Canada, and in 2010 in China. Then I got back to Orlando in 2011, Warsaw 2012, St. Petersburg in 2013, Canberra in 2014, Marat in 2015, Phuket in 2016, then Rapid City 2017, Beijing in 2018, Porto in 2019, Moscow in 2020.
Around COVID, what happened?
They delayed Moscow World Finals from 2020 and they make it in October 2021. So they did just 1 year, but actually the team qualified from ACPC 2019 and they competed in 21.
Gotcha.
So they had to merge 2 World Finals. I'm going to tell you the story. Moscow in 2020 was held in 2021 and Dakar 2021 was held in 2022 and 2022 and 2023 were merged together in Luxor 2024. And
Yes. On the home turf.
Yes. In 2024 also, we had a World Finals in Astana, Kazakhstan, just to be able to return to the regular schedule because 2022 and 2023 were scheduled to be in Sharm el-Sheikh, but because of the war in Gaza,
that's right,
they moved the World Finals from the Sharm el-Sheikh in December to April 2024. So in 2024, we have 3 World Finals, 2 in Luxor and 1 in Astana.
Active year.
And finally this year in Baku, which is the 20th year for me.
Yeah, so over the years, we've seen a shift also, right? I think it's Baylor University in Texas that originally started the competition.
When I started the competition in year 2000, there were 3 key organizations that are supporting ACM. No, there was 4.
IBM?
ACM, IBM, Bay, and UPE.
Yeah.
Right now, only what is remaining, I think UPE and the other 3 is no longer there. IBM left 2017, ACM left 2018, and I think Baylor left 2022, 2021. We still have, I think, UPE till now.
Yeah. And now Huawei, OpenAI, Google, DeepMind, and JetBrain as the 4 sponsors.
Yes.
You want to say a few notes about number of students, the way that you've affected their lives, the way some of them have moved on from competitive programming to careers above and beyond, where you could imagine before?
I started this maybe in 2010, and my first student got a job offer from Emo, the communication mobile app.
That's right.
Then he moved from Emo to Google after 1 or 2 years of working there in Mountain View, California.
Yeah.
And actually, there was a lot of demand on competitive programming. So Facebook started to take people, Amazon started to take people, LinkedIn, Airbnb, Quora.
Quora was a former world champion.
And also
Founded by a world champion.
at Booking.com.
Yeah. In fact, the first CTO of Meta, of Facebook, was an ICPC world champion.
Yes.
And the first employee of Google was an ICPC world champion, I believe.
Yes.
So there's quite a tradition of big tech companies having not so much the 100th or the 200th or the 3,000 employee, but the very, very first employees oftentimes.
And during COVID, they were hiring a lot of people. After COVID, there is some layouts in tech companies that stopped hiring people, but they're taking people from
Competitive programming.
Even in our region, the main competitor to Amazon is called Noon.
Yeah.
And Noon is also taking a lot of people from ICPC.
Yeah, many people who have gone through bld.ai have gone to Amazon or Google and etc.
Yes.
Yeah, that's common, but that's great. They come, they learn, they move on, and they continue to improve. So we should certainly encourage that. So I think there's no debate in terms of the impact, right? The numbers are there in terms of the number of people that you've trained, the number of times that you've been there, etc. I'd love to backtrack a little bit. Let's say my kids as a parent or as other parents out there. We've talked about fun. We've talked about being benevolent and helping others. We've talked about maybe solving your own math assignment with code, etc. And I'm lucky, of course, because my kids have all the tools available, the resources, etc. But how do we get kids in general to stop doom scrolling TikTok and Instagram and try to work on things that are maybe a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging for their mind? What's a good strategy there?
At early stages, for example, if they started to log into code.org or maybe learning Scratch and doing some easy programming assignment to learn the logic, what is a loop, what is a condition, how to write. Doing that can be done in very early stage, maybe 5-6 years old they can start programming before learning how to type or read and write if they can use the mouse.
My kids have mastered the art of doing block coding on an iPad, and it does not require a typing skill. And they recognize the if statements, the loops, creating variables, also abstracting away things through Scratch. And code.org takes it a little bit to the next level, right?
Yes.
Not all the way to competitive programming, but on the way.
Actually, just to give them what is meant by logic, how to simplify things as algorithms, how to teach the computer what to. At this early stage, it is a little bit important for you to know if they are going to like or love programming and coding, or they have a talent in other things. Maybe they are better at writing, maybe they are better at music, maybe they're better at anything else. But you need to know that this kid is interested in mathematics, interested in programming, interested in logic, interested in writing things in detail. And once you discover that this kid is interested in these types of subjects, I think they should start learning C++ directly at the age of 11 or 10 years old. Why I selected C++? It is not that low level and it is not that high level. It is in the middle of the tools of programming, and I believe that learning C++ as the first language before learning anything else will give you strong power in all the programming languages that you are going to work with after that.
How about vibe coding? How do you feel about the ease with which somebody can describe in natural language and have tens of thousands of lines of code generated in minutes?
Your question, and you will know the answer from my question. Is it okay for your kids to use calculator before knowing how to add or divide or multiply by their hands?
It depends. So, of course, the answer is no.
Yes.
Because I would like my kids to understand the mechanics and to go through it by hand because it teaches the foundation. But at the same time, I think they are using a calculator before they even know how to crawl because so much around them is a calculator. Right?
Yes.
For example, my kids, I might ask them challenging questions and tell them, I don't know the answer. Go use ChatGPT or go use Anthropic or something. So in that sense, I would say I would let them use a calculator before they can even do the multiplication, but I would not leave it at that. I would find a way, a gamified way to get them interested in understanding what's in the box. A generalized calculator to an iPad. I'm saying an iPad is a calculator to that sense. So I think understanding the power of AI, I think I'm okay with it in the sense that I would not tell the kids, you cannot use AI before you've really understood linear algebra. I think it's okay, right?
Yes.
You could use vibe coding. You can do fun things. You can create generative AI songs. You can create images, videos, poems, songs, stories, etc. But I do 100% agree with you, not understanding the foundational principles of the universe we live in is a very serious handicap.
Going to the extreme in any direction is wrong.
Right.
Using a lot of ready-made tools that helps you to automate everything in your life is not something good, and doing everything from scratch and reinventing the wheel is also something wrong.
Right.
So you should learn by a hybrid model, go to the easy way of doing things, and sometimes you should learn how to do it yourself without any external help. My students always ask me a question. My answer to them will let them understand what to do in that situations. The question is, if I am solving a problem, how long should I give myself time to try to solve it alone before reading a tutorial or searching for a video or asking for help from another contestant? So when exactly I should stop trying myself and trying to find a shortcut to get it accepted? The answer to this question is very challenging because some people go to the extremes that you should not use any help until you get it accepted. And some other people go to the extremes that once you stay for 30 minutes or an hour and not able to solve it, go directly search for a tutorial. And both are wrong from my point of view. My point of view, your learning should be hybrid. I believe that people partition problems to 3 categories. Each person in the 8 billion people partition the problems in the world to 3 categories. A problem that the person can solve easily, a problem that the person can solve but needs more than the allocated time to be solved, and problems that will not be solved even if you have infinite time. Maybe you have missing knowledge, maybe you need an algorithm to study before solving it, maybe it needs as mathematical rules that you didn't learn. Each type of the problems you solve will give you some skills, and you will increase yourself in one skill that the 2 other categories, I believe, will not be that good to the same skill. Or maybe it downgrade your abilities in that skill if you are going to continue solving this type of problem. The easy problems will teach you how to write clean code, how to write clean data structures, how to think of your structure, how to write code quickly, how to think quickly, but it will reduce your creativity and will not give you the ability to model in a good way. The hard problems that are in the middle is a problem that increase your creativity, increase your thinking skills, but it will make you write a code that you will not be able to read again. Make you solve hard problems, but in a bad way. So solving a lot of problems in the middle category will let you not be a good software engineer.
That's right.
You will be a good problem solver, but you will not be a good software engineer. Maybe sometimes if I have a line of code that do something very intelligent, but as my colleagues cannot read it, I should not write it in a commercial software. Maybe it is very intelligent and it is very nice to write in a competitive programming.
Right.
Maybe its performance is much better than the other one, but in the commercial life, I don't need performance in this part of the code.
You need clarity and maintainability.
Yes. So problems or middle category, I will let category 1 be bigger, but it will affect your skills in a bad way on some other skills. Category 3 problems will let you know what knowledge is missing. It will give you more, it will enlarge the size of category 2 and will reduce the size of category 3. So if you are going to train on category 3 only, then you are enlarging category 2, which is going to let your commercial skills be bad. If you work on category 1 only, you will be a good coder, but you will not have any innovation.
That's right. Yeah.
So
You're a plumber. Nothing wrong against plumbers, but
yes.
you plug things.
Yes. So you have to solve these categories in different times to be able to balance. So I love the hybrid.
That's right. Yeah. I think sometimes category 3, there's a concept called Johari window. There's like unknowns. And the more you discover them, the more you realize it's a huge category.
Yeah.
The bigger you fish in it, the more you realize there's more in that. It's a very deep pool.
It's using AI, he will generate a dump output, not an intelligent one.
Yeah. It doesn't last very long.
Yes.
The party ends very quickly.
Yes.
But certainly I've heard most beginners feel like they can do everything, but then quickly it's no longer. The middle ones tend to say, oh, I can do that on my own. I don't really need it. But the very elite ones are more like, oh, that's actually useful for doing things that I know how to do. It's going to save me time.
Yes.
But I still know that the real problems I have to handle myself.
Yes.
Right? And there's a lot of problems along DevOps, for example, that AI is not yet able to do a very good job still. But definitely it's useful for things like scaffolding or things like, hey, give me your opinion about what I just wrote there. Did I miss an edge case? case or something.
Yes.
It's a nice peer programmer in that sense, those types of things.
And I use it a lot inside my sessions. And while I'm solving, actually, I used to teach problem solving online on Zoom, not in physical class. So I have the Zoom window, ChatGPT window opened in the other side, and I write the code in front of the students. And while I'm writing it, I take the opinion of ChatGPT on what I'm doing.
Yesterday, we were at the restaurant and we just did a simple problem on a napkin. And funny enough, ChatGPT failed at it and we solved it on the napkin. It was a very simple problem, but there's just a lot of things that we were dumbfounded a little bit. We were like, we must have gotten it wrong. But no, in the end, even ChatGPT Pro was failing at it. So we've discussed parents, we've discussed your achievements, we've discussed problem solving and the role of AI. I'd love to hear projecting forward a little bit on two sides. On the one side, the more educational aspect of it. What role do you see, for example, in AI in ICPC? And I know that this is being debated right now. On the other hand, I'd love to hear also in terms of enterprise, right? How do you see decision makers, business leaders making decisions, and how is that going to impact their ability to create maybe more high quality code, or how should they change their hiring strategy?
Problem solving and competitive programming and competitive learning, I think, is like going to the gym. Whatever happens, the gym will still be used in all the sports. We have right now scooters like with the one I'm on, we have cars, we have airplanes, and we have rockets, we have a lot of things we have robots that can help you do anything. So will that let you say at certain period of time, I don't need to practice, or I don't need my muscles, I don't need my personal abilities. So I believe that problem solving is a skill to your mind, like building your muscles to be able to move and to be able to eat and to be able to live and to be able to listen and to be able to do anything in your life. So I believe we need to have another competitions that will not replace ICPC. It is another competition that is testing another skill, how to use AI in solving harder problems than the one that come in ICPC, or how we can help problem solvers solve or build their abilities to do more using AI. But I think OpenAI and Google DeepMind and all these sponsors are coming to ICPC not to get engineers. They are coming to get problem solvers. They are searching for problem solvers. They are sponsoring because they need problem solvers. They are not sponsoring because they need prompt engineering. I am not saying that prompt engineering is not something important, but I think that it is a different skill that we need to work on. Maybe we have a different competition in another day. Maybe we have two contests running in 2 different days, like the Hawaii ICPC challenge, the one that was today, and the ICPC, which is tomorrow. So maybe we have a third competition that should be parallel, but I believe that the problem-solving competition that is in the same format as this one should live still a little bit more.
I'm curious also to know, I'm going to use a parallel, right? In Formula One racing, for example, it used to be that there were different types of tire manufacturers and each team would pick a tire, or each team would have a different engine or a different chassis, etc. And there's a big strategy there. Do you see a world where we might end up with this?
Yes.
Where you have different teams, one running in OpenAI, another one running in Anthropic, and they would be facing each other and learning the specifics of that model, or different hardware, NVIDIA versus Chinese GPUs.
I think we still don't know exactly how the future of competitive learning using AI is going to be, but I think we will have a lot of competitions in different, like right now, for example, IOI is a competition like ICPC, but for school students. They used to have the number of correct test cases that the student gets to get a score, and the time penalty is irrelevant. But here in ICPC, we used to have the problem either accepted or not accepted. You don't get a score on partial point. Although for the AI competition today of Hawaii ICPC challenge, we have scores. So it depends on which competition you are in. You are solving a competition in different formats. Sometimes, for example, Google, when it used to have its own code jam, people used to upload only the output file, and they have two input files you test your code on. And if you get the small input, you got a score. And if you get the large input, you got another score in the same problem. Each competition have its own format. And I think we will have a lot of different competitions in the near future. Maybe some of them will be inside ICPC. Facebook already have done that last year in Hacker Cup. They have two parallel competitions that were running in Facebook Hacker Cup last year. One of them you use to solve alone, and the other one you can use by solving it.
Great. Thank you. I think really exciting in the next few years. Just coming back to the second part of what you're saying, senior business leaders, CEOs around the world, if you had one listening to this, right, what would you want to say to them or give them as an advice going forward in the next decade to position themselves better with what's coming?
I think that your way of hiring should think a lot before selecting whom you are going to hire, because searching for the correct problem solver is much, much better than searching for the one who has a lot of experience on different technologies or different languages, because anyone can learn any technology if he is good in problem solving.
It's a powerful advice. But yeah, you're going to be here for a few more days, so we'll be hanging out. We'll see you.
Yes.
And how many teams do you have in the competition this year?
4.
4 teams here, 7 from Egypt.
Yes.
Out of 140.
Yes.
Is that the highest ever? 7 out of 140 from Egypt?
No, I think 7 is an average.
Oh, 7 is average. Still very impressive.
Yes.
Out of 100 million people, very competitive.
Yeah.
So best of luck tomorrow.
Thank
I
you.
hope you guys come back with the best results ever. Yeah, and we'll see you at the celebration tomorrow night.
Yes, thank you.